Hello and welcome to another beautiful day right here. It is time for us to talk sport. A sport ignite, sport unite. If you're having it day and night, there is no double dose when it comes to sports. This is another time for us to look at things happening from the world of sport. And I am right here to bring you all the necessary stories that we will be able to take on Talk Sport today. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. And of course, where do I start from? They say charity begins at home, so I would need to talk about some of the things happening from the home front. But then, before I talk about things happening from the home front, Amaju Pinnick have said, well, what people are expecting and saying is not the true story of the incidents that we are having. After that, we'll also bring you another story again that has to do with the Nigerian side as they go to prepare for their game. But then let's get started from the things happening from the NFF. As a matter of fact, Amaju Pinnick is one of the people that Nigerians so much believe in. One of the NFF presidents that has done so well. He didn't do badly, but then so many things, questions being asked right now about certain incidences that took place as it has to do with funding. Anything that has to do with funding has a lot of question marks, and of course Nigerians are not just smiling about that issue. All right, to bring you all of that story, we'll still talk about Amaju Pinnick again, but then let's quickly bring you to speed with Victor Osimhen's performance. Victor Osimhen is one player that a lot of Nigerians actually get his back anytime, any day. Now we will be looking at something very beautiful right here from Victor Osimhen's side. As a matter of fact, I'm so excited when I actually saw this. What really happened? I will bring you the highlight of the games much later, but right now let's quickly inform you that Victor Osimhen ascended the summit of top goal scorer in the UEFA Champions League. Of course, after he fired all 3 goals as his Galatasaray handed out a 3-0 defeat to Ajax inside their John Cruyff Arena back there in Amsterdam. That was where the game was actually played. But then I think Osimhen's 3 goals, as a matter of fact, make him the leading goal scorer this season in the competition with 6 goals from the 3 Champions League matches that were actually played. And now Galatasaray on their own hand are now 9 on the league table, as a matter of fact, with of course 9 points from 4 matches that they've been able to play so far, and of course just outside the top 8 on goals difference after a barren first half. But Osimhen in the 59th minute put Galatasaray ahead when he actually cleverly, I call that a clever move. When it comes to Osimhen's game, a lot of people will give it to him that his moves are also very clever. Just like a joke, you see him hit the track with the ball, with the focus, with the attention, and with the calculation, and you see him performing extremely well. So don't hold me to it when I say it was a cleverly gotten goal right there between Joseph Satulo and of course Remco Pasva as they head in across from Leroy Sane for the leader. Things actually went bad and towards for Ajax in that game when they considered another penalty when Yoribas actually handed another Galatasaray cross. Well, Victor Osimhen stepped up again confidently and he buried a spot kick in the left corner in the 66th minute, and it was actually a very fantastic and interesting one. The game was so interesting, it was a sweet one. If you watch that game, you know what I'm talking about. But then the goggling Nigerian international returned to complete his hat trick when again he fired from the penalty spot after Champions League debutant Gerard Aldas gave away to second penalty of the evening. It was a very wonderful one. But then something really happened. The Nigerian hitman went the other way, leading PASVA and Ajax are hopeless after 78 minutes. Osimhen is a goal of an elite trio of Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, and Kylian Mbappe. Wow, I love that, man. Oh my God, my God. Well, the 26-year-old striker has now netted 12 beautiful goals in his last 8 games in Europe. And Galatasaray came early, very close to adding a fourth. It would have been 4 goals in the dying seconds when Mauro Icardi, who was replaced, he replaced Osimhen. Icardi replaced Osimhen. Osimhen had to be taken out. What are you waiting for? After getting 3 goals, man, it don't do. Not be only you they feed. What are you saying? Osimhen had to be replaced, of course, by Icardi, and it was a beautiful wonder. Icardi almost got that goal, but that goal didn't come true. We have the highlight of the game style plays. From there, we'll bring you that later. But the victory now was a perfect leverage for Galatasaray by Ajax last year in the UEFA League. It was a beautiful one, and of course excitement everywhere, and people were celebrating. But then let's bring you a result of other matches. It was a beautiful one, but then from 4 matches in this year's UEFA Champions League, losing to Inter Milan 2-0, Olympique Marseille 4-0, and of course Chelsea 5-1 in the opening 3 games. Ajax will next host a fellow bottom feeders, Benfica. That's going to be their next game, while Galatasaray will now host Union Saint-Gilloise on November 25th, and of course we're waiting for how that game would go. But then I think it's necessary and important and very expedient for me to also tell you that elsewhere, another Super Eagles forward, talking of Ademola Lookman, the man who took over from Victor Osimhen as the African Footballer of the Year, was able also to score a goal that was disallowed anyway for offside. But then I think if you go for the moon and you can't get the moon, hits the sky, you don't come back empty. Even though that goal was disallowed, it's also a very beautiful one right there. But then it was an offside as the Atalanta actually defeated Marseille 1-0 in the French city. Another Nigerian international, again talking about Raphael Onyedika, had a decent showing as his Belgium side Club Brugge held visiting Barcelona 3-3 in another Champions League game that was played last night. When you talk about Barcelona, what comes to your mind? Let me ask the sport lovers out there, what really comes to your mind? I'm not surprised. 3-3. Some person said the glory of Barcelona is far gone after the departure of Lionel Messi. You know, Lionel Messi is not getting any younger, and he can't be in one club forever. But then I think we need to give it to the guys. 3-3 was how that game actually ended. The Nigerian hitman went all that way, of course, leaving PASVA and Ajax hopeless after 78 minutes. Osimhen is actually a goal ahead of an elite trio of Haaland, Harry Kane, and Kylian Mbappe, like I said earlier, and it's a very good one right there. We'll bring you the highlight of the games now before we get into the other matches that we played. That's the highlight of the Osimhen hat-trick that he got. Well, what were you expecting from a player of that caliber? Well, as a matter of fact, Nigerians are saying so many things about Victor Osimhen right now, and one of the things that a lot of people are actually saying is that he should replicate the same thing when he comes to play for the Super Eagles. And ex-international was actually making that statement, and it's everywhere in the media. But if you watch our last game that was played in Uyo, Victor Osimhen was on top of his game. Anytime he can play for Nigeria, you see how energetic he is, and of course he never take a no for an answer. Surely he will get a goal. If not, Brace, he's going to get a hat-trick. Well, let's quickly get a look. Let's take a look at the highlight of that game quickly before we bring you other stories from the world of sport, even from back home in Nigeria.